I'm Dylan Byers.
And I'm Hadas.
And this is On Media.
We realized we had been misled, and it was a mistake to include him in our report. For that, we are very sorry.
So Dylan, the 60 Minutes saga over their Benghazi report doesn't seem to be ending anytime soon.
Right, and they have been playing a sort of silent defense. They haven't been responding to inquiries about what they're doing. It was only after days and days of pressure from reporters that, and from viewers too, that they actually came out and said, yes, we were conducting a review of what happened here. We're continuing to conduct a review. We're starting to think that this review might go outside of just 60 Minutes and even go to CBS corporate. The question is, can they let the water keep going under the bridge long enough that people start not to pay attention, and then whatever ramifications they do decide, by that point we're not even paying attention anymore.
And now we've actually had Dan Rather, who had a very similar situation happen in 2004. He's finally weighed in, and he actually said that the CBS corporate hierarchy is as much to blame as any correspondent or producer is in this situation.
I mean, we see this in politics as much as we see it in media. When something goes wrong, you throw out one body. Somehow recently it's tended to be throw out a woman under the bus. And then you wait and you see if you can just like put it all on that person's shoulders. And the truth is you can't. These are institutional things. I mean, one of the biggest problems at CBS News in 60 Minutes is that you have Jeff Fager, who is simultaneously chairman of CBS News, but executive producer of 60 Minutes. So where is the review process, right? If you have a problem with 60 Minutes, where do you take it? If you take it to Jeff Fager, you're taking it to the chairman, And so that is why we might see CBS corporate, the kind of bigger body, Les Moonves, come in and kind of take a wider scale review of what happened.
So Brian Stelter, David Pogue, Jeff Zeleny, Nate Silver, they've all left the New York Times recently.
Right, it's this trickle of top talent, not just talented reporters and editors, but guys who have their own brands, who are these kind of marquee names, who no longer feel like they need the New York Times, right? They feel in a way that they can take their brand elsewhere and still be successful, which is a sea change from the way things were as recently as I'd say 5-10 years ago, when the New York Times, as it was throughout the 20th century, was this brand that you went there, you stayed there for life, you would never leave the New York Times because that was like the highest calling in journalism. That's no longer the case. But the kind of grand narrative here is that Jill Abramson, executive editor, New York Times leadership, has to come to terms with the fact that if they want to keep this top talent, they're going to have to pay for that top talent, because there are a lot of competitors with a lot more money who can snatch those people off.
So hot off the presses, Politico magazine just launched, very exciting.
Yeah, we're winning the bi-monthly. No, Politico magazine, it comes out 6 times a year. It's also on the website every day. A lot of really good stuff in the first issue, including the cover story from Glenn Thrush. Also, I obviously we're biased. I just think it's a beautifully designed magazine as well. Not making that one up. But you actually talked to Susan Glasser, the editor of the magazine. Tell us about that interview.
Right. So Susan Glasser, who came over from Foreign Policy, really got to create a magazine from scratch, which she said was very exciting. She wasn't harnessed by any of the institutions that normally have magazines that are recreating themselves. She doesn't have subscribers. She really could do whatever she wanted and needed and create this brand new, amazing magazine with all of these resources that we have in terms of web design, in terms of content. She was able to bring over writers from outside and also from inside Politico. And she said this is really a way to complement the day-to-day Politico brand and coverage that we have, but to help people take a step back and look at what we're covering minute by minute in a larger context.
So something we do on the blog every now and then when we find a good humorous correction, we publish correction of the day. Sometimes it is so egregious that we elevate it to correction of the week. You found a correction of the century?
Of the 19th century.
The 19th century.
The Patriot News out of Pennsylvania issued a retraction yesterday for an editorial their paper had written back in 1863 calling former President Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address silly. They said that no one would remember his words and that they would just pass over them. So yesterday, the Patriot News decided to right the wrong, and they issued a formal retraction in their newspaper for calling Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address silly.
I'm Dylan Byers.
And I'm Hadas.
And this was On Media. For these and other stories, you can visit our blog at politico.com.